Today I'm joined by Patrizia Cassaniti, who was an ordinary mum until raising her family, 3 boys, living with her family, enjoying life, until something really terrible happened. Patrizia, would you like to tell us a little bit about how your life changed in a moment?
Sure. Last year in March, everything was going very well for us. Rob was running a business with Coke vending, and I was doing selling coffees on job sites and around offices during the day. So that was my job. And what I used to do is go around and, with my coffee van. That was our everyday life. Our boys were to the point where they were grown up, and enjoying things in life, and getting to the stage where, we didn't have to babysit them anymore. And things were starting to give us a bit of, thinking to my husband, saying, because my husband was a baker before, so he wasn't around very much. So once he started doing Coke vending, the last 5 years have been great because he's been at home normal hours instead of away at night. So we started to enjoy ourselves a bit more as a family, going away more. We started to enjoy water sports as well. So around March last year, we sold my husband's pride and possession, his Harley, to buy a boat so that we could spend more time with our boys and teach them how to water ski, because that's how Rob and I grew up. And the boys started to get really into it. So Christopher was kind of always, Mum, let's buy a boat, let's buy a boat. So we did. We bought a boat around midway through March. Christopher turned 18 on the 27th of March and took out a loan to buy his first Hilux. And he was so proud of himself. He was so happy. On the Friday, so 27th of March was the Wednesday, on the Friday he picked up his first car, and Saturday we celebrated his 18th birthday with family and friends, where it was meant to be a start of a new chapter in his life, turning 18 and, being able to do things that he wasn't allowed to do. And, thinking that everything's wonderful, first car. Saturday he gets up, goes to work, and then comes home to celebrate his birthday. Sunday we spent the day together because he wanted to personalise the car he had just picked up. So him and I went to the markets. We bought stuff for the car, car seat covers and all that stuff that he wanted. And he was talking to me about what he wanted to do with his Hilux, and, started showing me videos and of auto craze and things. And I said to him, you work now, you can do whatever you want to do. I said, whatever your heart desires, you can do that. So on the Sunday night, I said to him, I'm not going to come to work Monday because I wanted to clean up after the mess that was created for his birthday. So I decided to stay home and tidy up. But unfortunately, at probably 1 o'clock that afternoon, I received a phone call from a friend of ours who had heard of the incident happening at Macquarie Park. And he rang me, and the first thing he said is, Christopher, okay? And I kind of I wasn't watching TV. I didn't have TV on.
So I might just jump in. This was a construction site, wasn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It's the construction site at Macquarie Park. Christopher was an apprentice form worker. So, that was his first day that he went pretty much on his own with his new car. And unfortunately never came home that day. The news went ballistic, but as I said, I didn't hear it. I didn't have the TV or radio on. So when our friend called us and said, because I thought when he asked me, is Christopher okay, I thought he was asking him about his birthday, and that maybe he was, hungover or whatever. And I said, no, why wouldn't he be? And he said, Trish, there's been a very bad accident on his site. and I think you should go and go. But he did not know at that stage that Christopher had died. So I got into my car and raced to the job site and tried to call several of his supervisors, and no one could tell me what had happened until I got to one of his other supervisors closer to getting there, and he said, look, Christopher is involved, he's under the rubble. And by that stage, when I heard that, I was losing breath, couldn't breathe, because I was ringing Christopher's phone and he wouldn't pick it up. And he normally does. He picks up his phone straight away. So, and it was quite scary.
Were the police and emergency services there by that time?
Oh yeah, they've been there already for an hour at least.
Wow.
They were trying to get to him. So, but nobody really knew when I got there, what was happening. So as I drove there, everybody was just outside in emergency, obviously, evacuated. And I'm like screaming, where's Christopher? Where's Christopher? So I went to one of the police officers and they said, look, you can't be here. You're going to have to go to where everyone is congregated. So then I started noticing that people tried to grab me to take me into rooms to tell me, obviously, that Christopher had passed away, because it was media everywhere. And I kept on saying, no, I need to be here for when they take him out so that I can get into the ambulance with him. And then they finally said, look, we really need to have you in the room. Let's go in the room. And so they took me into the first aid room. And that's when they told me that they couldn't do anything with Christopher and unfortunately had passed away. So,
I saw the photographs and we all saw it on the news. And I remember seeing a chaplain standing next to you. Do you remember that, or it was all just so fuzzy?
No, I do remember the chaplain coming up to me and she walked me into the room. She actually stayed with me until I got home. So she was a very lovely lady. And as soon as I pretty much got into the room, they sat me down and they told me. It's still, for me, even till this day, very surreal. I still haven't accepted the fact that he's gone. After we left the job site, I wasn't allowed to see him. So they took me away and took me home. And around about 2 o'clock in the morning, I kind of woke up in panic thinking, oh my God, it's not him. It's impossible. He just turned 18. How can it possibly be him? I didn't get to see him. I didn't, it has to be, it's someone else. And so my sister-in-law and my sister were staying with me that night and they're just trying to calm me down, saying, no, if it wasn't him, he'd be here now. So I think it's the acceptance that's remained me with not being able to accept that he's actually gone. And that makes it hard.
So, it's a horrible thing for a mother to go through, and grief, as you more than know, it's never ending. It goes on and on. They say life grows around it eventually, but it's still a very raw and difficult emotion. And people think you've got over it. Yeah.
Yeah, it will never ever go away. Especially when you lose a child. Our brains and I think the way we are, like I've had my grandparents die, and you grieve for them, but then you learn to live with the fact that they're old and that's the way life is. But when a child dies, it's unacceptable. You just don't accept it in life. You think, well, why a young, beautiful child that has just started his life has to go? So a lot of questions come in, and it is much harder to deal with than just a death of an auntie or an uncle or grandparents for that matter. Your parents pass on and we all grieve, and we all grieve very badly for them, but we learn to live with them, with the fact that they're gone. As a child, I don't think it's something that you can ever
Well, I can really feel for you, because, you know, being a mother is the greatest gift in life, and we would gladly trade places.
Oh,
But
any day,
yeah,
I would, you know, I'd die for him and have him alive. You know, he was such a good kid, such a wonderful kid. Never did anything wrong. He didn't even get drunk on his birthday. He came up to me and says, "Mum, they want me to drink all this alcohol. I don't want to drink it." And I said, "You don't have to." He was just really sensible kid, you know. And it's hard to have lost him.
So I just wanted to help people watching this to put it into some context, and I'm aware there's legal action pending, so we can't talk about some things, but it was a workplace accident or fatality. Safe Work were called, correct? And the inspectors came, and they're currently investigating the situation. Is that what's happening?
That's right. The investigation's still ongoing. We are hoping that by the end of May there should be some proceedings starting. They're saying, I don't know what's happening with, obviously, this COVID-19, everything's kind of being put on hold. I'm hoping that, you know, they'll still hand over the files to the entities involved so that they can start proceedings. But Safe Work is the regulator here, so they're the ones that will be doing any prosecutions if need be. But our law, our current law is not, I don't think, is very sufficient, and that's why I brought in Christopher's law, so that stricter and harsher penalties are introduced when, you know, because nobody should go to work and die. It's just not.
So before we get to the laws and touched by Christopher, I just want to bring people up to date. So the accident happened. What sort of support were you given by the workplace or the employer, and what sort of support were you given by Safe Work, aware that there's litigation, so you can only say so much? And then
Safe Work were fantastic. Obviously they've always contacted me. They're constantly in contact with me to make sure that everything's done. You know, you've got when an incident at work happens, you get bombarded with paperwork. It's one of the hardest things to do. Like for me, I couldn't even write his name to fill out this paperwork, and, you know, to fill out paperwork for death certificates and all that kind of stuff. It was just, I couldn't do it. So the union was fantastic with that. They helped me with everything. They actually filled out all my forms with me together, so that I didn't have to do that. So that every you know, little aspect of, you know, notifications that someone's deceased had to be done. They did it all for me. So the support's been fantastic. The support of the public has been amazing. Actually quite overwhelmed. You know, my son was a beautiful child and touched many, but I think he died a hero. He really did. He died a hero, and for me, left behind a legacy that I'm going to make sure goes forth.
Okay, so at what point did you feel that, I guess, absolute determination within your very essence of being that this was not going to happen again, as only a mother can relate to, and that you were going to and find out that the laws were inadequate? How did this all come about?
Pretty much immediate. When Christopher died, his death was very tragic, and it actually rocked the industry of the construction industry, because of what happened to him should never have happened. I mean, a 17-meter scaffold totally collapsed on him, and the reason it collapsed because there was no ties placed. Now, this is a common practice that a lot of trades remove components from scaffolds that shouldn't be removed, and compromises the, you know, the safety of the scaffold. So there was actually no ties at all on the scaffold when it collapsed on Christopher. So the anger that follows was so great that I said, I can't have this anger envelop me. So I had to turn it into a positive. And it pretty much straight away, I was so angry because Christopher was willing. He wasn't your usual 18-year-old that is very defiant and couldn't care less about the world and that they do their own thing. You know what I mean? He was, as I said before, he was a very sensible kid. And for him to die like that it's ridiculous. And I won't accept it. And I think that's what thrusted me to make sure that this never ever happens to someone else again, ever. And Christopher, you know, the messages that I got from all over Australia were crazy. I think I spent months and months, and up until at least September, October, I was still answering messages. And I got through every single message that came through. You know, I was just overwhelmed, very overwhelmed.
So do you think your anger helped the rest of your family? I mean, you've got 2 other sons, is that correct?
Well, it's that I didn't want the anger to take over. That's why I had to turn it into something positive. And I had to, because my boys knew what Christopher was like. You know what I mean? They're like, how can this happen? I had to give them some kind of purpose in life. You know, to say, what's the point? Like, what's the point? And that's what goes through your mind when something like this happens. And it should never have happened in the first place. And I think for me, I know that they're still not coping very well. But our other family, we all got very close, much closer. So they spend a lot of times with their cousins, which they, you know, didn't do as much before. There is a lot of resentment, a lot of missed out. We've missed out on a lot. And that feeling just doesn't go away, because every time there's an occasion, it just comes back, and it doesn't get any better. It just gets worse. And the longer the time passes, the harder it actually gets.
Yeah. So where did Touch by Christopher come from? So you decided to do something about the laws, and you've been very vocal, and now you're talking at events all around Australia. How did you come about establishing Touch by Christopher, and what is it?
Well, Touch by Christopher, when we saw all the paperwork coming through of having to obviously prove that Christopher died and the compensation that comes with it, because obviously if you die at work, you get workers' compensation. But that doesn't come in for months and months. I think probably we received his compensation about 8 months later. Now, we're lucky because we have a beautiful family, and they supported us all the way. I have not gone back to work. It's been over a year now. I've still not gone back to work, and neither has my husband. You know, my husband's got PTSD as well, and he has not even been cleared to get behind a truck to be able to go to work. You know, and that's both of us trying to support a family with 2 teenage boys, like I'm talking about 20 and a 17-year-old, with no income. And I still cannot think about even getting behind the wheel and starting work, and neither can my husband. Now, we're very lucky, obviously, because we did have a great family that supported us at the beginning to help us out with anything we needed. But not everybody has that. Not everybody has that support. And I thought we need to do something so that if someone dies at work in New South Wales, we can go in there and help them with at least groceries and paying bills. And that's what Touch by Christopher does. Obviously, once we put the foundation together, we had to put in what exactly we had to give. So I've based it on each family, because I said, how much would it cost me to support a family of 4 on a weekly basis on groceries? And it worked out to be about $10 per person per day. And I thought $1,500 towards any bills that come in. within the first 3 months. So that's what we do. So we give $10 per person per day within the family, and we give that for the 3-month period, and then that's how we support other families.
It's quite incredible that nothing like that exists. I mean, workplace accidents, fatalities sadly happen, and you're just left to your own devices to try and manage your way through, grief, loss, and trying to keep it together. It's extraordinary.
I know. I mean, the thing is, I know mentally, I mean, we've received the compensation from work cover.
You've got it now, yeah.
But it happened probably 8-9 months later. So it also comes with the guilt of using it, because you think, oh my God, I don't want to have to use money my son died for. And there's a lot of things there that you think, it's, my husband had income protection, and that's helped us, but not everybody has that. Not everybody has income protection. Not many families, they find themselves that they have to go back to work within a month or so, because bills don't stop. Grief just keeps going. It doesn't have a time. It doesn't have, everything's got to stop now. Let's stop the mortgage. Let's stop this. You can't, because then you're left over with a pile of bills that need to be paid regardless. There's no compassion in bills.
No. I might just jump in, because you've raised income protection, and it's an area that I'm reasonably familiar with through what we do. Was it through your husband's superannuation, or he had it separately?
No, we had separate income protection.
And were the insurers or the bank, were they helpful? Did it process easily?
Yes.
That's lovely to hear, because it's not what I hear in other instances. So it's really lovely.
I mean, it's for us, it was, we've had income protection for many years. I cancelled mine about 2 years ago, actually, because if you work for yourself, income protection is very important to have, not because of death, but because if something does happen in your life, you need to be able to get through, because, as I said, compassion in bills does not exist.
No, it doesn't.
Your mortgage still has to be paid. Your bills still have to be paid. And we always thought, like, if something was to happen to us, and we have a mortgage over our head, how are our kids going to survive that? So that's why we took out income protection, because we both own businesses.
And it also sounds as though your own financial self-care up until this, event was quite well planned, because if you've got your finances in chaos and haven't planned for, the unexpected, and it's not a conversation about money, by the way, but self-care does encompass many different things, and finances is one of those.
It does. And you know what? I mean, before Christopher died, I mean, financially we weren't the best, but we had things in place to protect us. Because I never wanted to, I don't know, something for me and Rob to happen to us, that our kids would have to deal with mortgages and stuff like that. So we've always looked at, putting those things in place. But as I said, it's not cheap to do that, and a lot of families don't do that. They don't have income protection in place, and it just makes life so difficult, because when the first month when an incident like this happens is a blur. It's an absolute blur. Everything that happens, I mean, I remember a lot of things that have happened, but there's some things that I don't know where the time went, what I was doing. But, that's why my first thing was, I cannot spiral down for this. I can't. I have to make sure that the family continues, and that my boys are protected, and that they do have that purpose in life to live on.
So you went into mama mode, did you?
Big time mama mode. And, anger's still there. I'm still extremely angry with what has happened. But I can't let that overtake my life. I can't. And I won't
So
allow it to.
So where are you at with the laws being changed? I mean, it requires legislators to agree that they've got to be changed.
It's a constant battle between myself and government. I meet with government regularly, Labor and Liberal, to make sure that they actually realise that the consequences that are in place at the moment aren't good enough. So there's a lot of builders and a lot of, you know, people out there that really don't have the penalties and consequences that they would need to care about. If a higher penalty is introduced and tougher consequences are being put in place, a lot of people stop and think. So Christopher's law is all about stop, speak up and save lives. And the culture of the industry, of the construction industry, is that, oh, you can't speak up because you'll get shown the door. You lose your job. So I've known this culture for a long time. But I thought this is why these incidents are happening, because everyone's being put under pressure to get things done. It's all about time and money, getting this stuff done quickly and cheaply, and incidents happen. So yeah, Christopher's law is not just about changing the law and bringing industrial manslaughter, but it's also about bringing in third-party regulators that make sure that things are done properly. And
so third-party regulators is who?
Well, you've got your safe work, but you've also got like independent safety officers that come on site that aren't, because most safety officers that are employed on sites are employed by the builder. So they can turn a blind eye to something.
Yeah, okay.
You know, if they keep saying, this is wrong, like, you know, if you work for the builder and you keep saying, oh, this is wrong, we've got to stop the job here, you're actually costing the company a lot of money by stopping construction. So if you are, and a lot of safety officers have called me that have said, you're barking up the wrong tree, because it's just not going to happen. You know, we can't speak up. We can't say things that we can do because we get shown a door. So there's a lot of safety officers that literally have lost their jobs and can't get a job back because they're whistleblowers. So this is Christopher's law, is to bring independent safety officers that come in, that the builder has to hire to make sure things are done properly. And that way, you know, it
sounds logical, doesn't it? So it should have happened before now. That's
right. And this is something that I want it to be a law, that you can't have your own safety officer. It must be, you know, no blinkers. You go in there, that's wrong, you stop the job. Simple. Because it takes the onus away on the actual tradies who can't speak up. They can't speak up, because if they do speak up, they lose their jobs and they find it very hard to find another job, because the construction industry is very big, but everybody knows each other. Everyone knows each other. It is a very small world in the construction industry. So if you're a whistleblower, forget it. You will not get a job with anyone, because you stop jobs, you cost them a lot of money. So, you know, the safety app that I created with SafeWork helps on workers, obviously, to be able to speak up anonymously, so that they can, you know, take photos of something that's happened, and it's an app, and they can send it across to SafeWork, and they can do it directly without stating their name. And
is that up at the moment, the app? Or what's the name of the app?
It's called Speak Up, and it's on the New South Wales SafeWork site. Yeah, and you can download it onto your phone. And I think soon it will be available on the Apple Store and also on Google Play. Android. To be able to download it as an app. It's not just for workers, but not just for construction. It's for any workers, any work situation where they feel that they are unsafe, but they can't speak up because they feel victimized. They can take a photo of the situation, and they can send it straight to Safe Work, and Safe Work will triage it and deal with it.
That's wonderful. That's really good to hear. I just wanted to touch on COVID, because the thing about COVID-19 is life is going on for people and things are happening, and it comes on top of all the other stresses people have. And I know that you had the anniversary of Christopher's death around the same time that COVID started to happen and break out in Australia. How did that impact your family?
We feel very robbed, very robbed. But you know, I understand that this is things we have to do to protect ourselves, but not to be able to. I mean, I did the Touch by Christopher Foundation Memorial Gala Dinner, which was the first gala dinner that we were going to do for Christopher, and that would have been on his birthday, the 27th of March. We've postponed it. We will do it eventually as soon as COVID's over. His memorial was obviously the 1st of April, where I've got a public memorial on site where he died. We had to postpone that as well. You just feel robbed. You feel like as though you haven't done what you need to mentally. But I know it's not under my control, so there's nothing I can do about it. And it's better to be safe than sorry. I wouldn't, you know, I'm all about safety, and you know, it's not something that I could have done and gone ahead with and put other people at risk when I'm all about safety. Yeah.
So your spirituality, I mean, I've shared with people through a number of these conversations, it means different things for different people. How has your spirituality helped you get through this situation, and how is it helping you?
I'm a Christian. I think if I didn't have anything I believe in, I don't think I could get through this. I really couldn't. I remember the first 2 weeks, there was a lot of questions. Why? You know, why is it that, you know, someone's so beautiful and just gets taken like that? But as a Christian, I don't blame God for taking my son, because it's not, God doesn't harm. God's not there to harm us. God is there to protect us at all costs. It's the evil that takes away people you love. And that's my belief. And I do believe that Christopher is in heaven and in a much better place than we are. And that's our forever home. And the thing is, you know, what we have here is just, you know, we live, but when we go to heaven, we live further. And I know that I will meet with him one day when it's our turn. But it's really, you know, you do come to those times when you feel really down. You think, well, why? Why is it that this has to happen? And why are we suffering so much? It's hard. It's hard to do. You know, it's, you know, you have to believe in something for you to get through this. I reckon if I didn't, I wouldn't be here today.
Well, it's sounding as though your spirituality, A, your faith has helped you lean in, and B, you've discovered for yourself meaning and purpose to Christopher's life through Touch by Christopher and changing laws. So it's all encompassing for you.
Yeah. Well, you know, in the Bible it says that, you know, if you are at peace, you'll find an inner peace that is not human, and that's what I think I have. Because there's times when I just want to cry and I can't. I just can't cry. And, you know, it is like I'd lie in bed and think, how come I'm still at peace? And it's because it's that belief that you have in God that things are okay, that he gives you this inner peace that is able to carry you through the grief that comes, and that hits you with no time. It just happens.
So I mean, self-care is a word that's bandied around, and until you go through something like this, you don't realize how important it is around boundaries and looking after yourself. I mean, too often we diminish it. We talk about, you know, bath bombs and yoga retreats, and there's places for those. But when you're in the midst of a great dark storm, how have you learnt and how are you looking after yourself through self-care practices?
Well, COVID hasn't helped.
No.
COVID is absolutely horrible, because, you know, since when Christopher died, probably around May last year, we bought a little place on the river at the Hawkesbury, and that was the last place Christopher was at, where he absolutely loved this spot that we bought, and we bought the caravan there, where we were starting to do, you know, a lot of water skiing and stuff like that. So it's a special, very special place to us. So we fixed it all up, and we spent pretty much the last 6 months, 7 months, cleaning it up, making it our little sanctuary that we used to go to. But then the fires came, and that was an absolute disaster because we were in fire zone. But we were lucky that we missed the fires and it didn't touch our spot. So, but we had it looking beautifully. Fires left and we got hit by floods. The floods we did not escape. We were totally submerged. The whole caravan,
oh my goodness,
was totally submerged and ruined by about 500 deep in mud, after it all receded back. We are still now trying to fix it. We're still trying to, because we've had to start again and get rid of muds and machinery there. It's just loads and loads and loads. I've never seen anything like it. So, you know, we've had to rebuild caravan as well, and we had to gut it, and the annex was gone. Everything's, you know, floated away. So it was hard, but, you know, the beautiful thing was that I've got this tree, this massive, massive pine tree there, and a photo of Christopher is on the tree. And I've also got like a little planter box with some flowers. I mean, they're fake flowers there, and a bit of real flowers, and a spotlight. There's all these things in there. When the water receded, that whole area was untouched. There was things that did not float away that would have floated away. And it's, you know, you look at that and you think, wow, you know, there is spirituality. There's this is special, you know, because everything around it was knee deep in mud. But around, you know, his pot plant and the spotlight was just sitting on top. That could have easily gone, and that spotlight lights up his photo. And at night, and it's all lit up at night. I've got fairy lights all around the tree. All the fairy lights are still working, you know, all that kind of stuff. And you just sit there and you think, you know, wow, you know, it's something. So we're working very hard to get it fixed up. But obviously, because the caravan parks are closed, it's been hard to go there to fix things because we can only go there occasionally. We can't stay there. You know, it's one thing after another, you know, and then we had to cancel our Touch by Christopher memorial dinner, and then cancel the actual memorial that we did. So there's a lot of things that have happened in the last year that you just keep thinking, oh, when is it going to stop? When is it going to end? When are we going to have some break? You know? But
so do you ever just sit and say, I just want to sit and chill. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to think about anything. I just want some headspace. All the time. And I think, you know, it's hard because Rob and I are still not working. Now with COVID's just made things even worse. And then you know, you have all these other things that are happening around you. We just have to keep rising above it. And I just hope, and I know that without faith, I don't think you could do it. I don't think all these things that have been thrown at me, if I didn't have faith, I wouldn't survive them. I just wouldn't survive them. So for anyone wanting to support Touch by Christopher and wanting to get involved in some shape or form, how do they get in touch with you? I've got a Facebook page, Touch by Christopher. Instagram, they can go on the website, touchbychristopher.org.au.
They can call me on my phone number, which I'm happy to give out, which is 0414 656 621. Anyone that needs support or needs to ask questions, I'm happy to answer them, you know, for whatever it is. You know, I'm not the best at everything, but I try. I try, you know, to overcome everything that gets thrown at me as much as I can, because life has to go on. We can't put a hold on it. You just can't.
So thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I would like to send you a big virtual hug. I know it's a difficult time, and you have a lot of friends, even in the virtual world, who are cheering you on. Don't give up. Let's change those laws. And I think the mission of Touched by Christopher to help people in those desperate days when they need a bit of they don't need to be thinking about money and groceries. They need to do what they need to do to grieve. So well done. And we'd love to have you back again to talk to us for the next fundraising event. Thanks, Patricia.
No, thank you. And thanks for everyone's support as well. You know, that's, you know, we are very overwhelmed by the support that we get.
Thank you.
So thank you.